Hello everybody. Today I am going to be giving you 6 simple ideas on how to upgrade your home. These are things that I have done in my house during my giant home renovation that have made a shocking difference, even though they weren't that hard to do or they weren't that expensive to do. Those really low-key things that can actually change the way you feel about a room or a space. Number 1 is to paint your trim. So obviously you can paint an entire room or do a giant accent wall, but that's going to take a lot of effort and probably be pretty expensive. However, if you have like a pretty boring white room, beige room, and you pick a really fun accent color to paint the trim, you will be deeply shocked at how much character and fun it adds to the room. You have to be a little careful, because if you choose the wrong color, the wrong shade, it doesn't really go with the rest of your decor and everything. It can date a room, but I feel, and listen, not everyone agrees with this one, but I feel that it has done so much to elevate my rooms. So this is a perfect example. We're sitting in a white room. It has a white ceiling, it has white walls, but this room feels really special. It feels really unique and fun and thoughtful because the trim is painted. And because you're only painting trim, you can totally do this in a day. It doesn't have to be expensive because you don't actually need that much paint, especially if your trim isn't that big. Like, it can be high impact for low cost, low effort. Before we move on to our next tip, I have to thank today's sponsor, who is Book of the Month. Book of the Month is an online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new, emerging, and popular authors and to help readers discover books that they will love. The way it works is simple. Their team vets hundreds of books every month and gives readers a choice from a curated selection of titles. They have a great skip policy, which means you can skip any month, anytime, and you won't be charged. And they have great prices for hardcover fiction. You could get your first book for just $9.99 with my code. This month, they sent me Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott and Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Very excitingly, they now ship to Canada starting this month. I know a lot of my fellow Canadians have been like, when are they going to ship here? Now! They do it! So if you're a Canadian who's been waiting to try it out, check out my link down in the description. Use my code to get a great deal on your first book. All right, let's move on to our next tip, which is swap out your air vents and your light switches. So I feel like light switches, maybe you've thought of this one, but listen, so light switches, you're normally going to have the really cheap, just basic flat plastic. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly fine. But if you go on Etsy or go to some shop that sells beautifully made light switches, it's night and day how different the experience of looking at a beautiful light plate is versus the classic cheap plastic one. So that's a simple swap. You might have thought of that one already, but maybe you haven't thought about switching out your air vents. My house had these ancient, old, genuinely rusty air vents in all of the rooms, which is how, the heat is pumped throughout the house. But just because of wear and tear, they've become awful. They've become super dented, which I don't really understand, like what is being run over these so constantly that they're like all bent and dented out of shape. But secondly, they've become kind of just rusty and they're just like an old ugly brown. So I was already I was like, yeah, I'll get new air vents. And when I went to look at the options, I found these really pretty looking ones and I was like, those look great. I genuinely had a little gasp when I swapped out the old one and put in the new one. The elevation It's just such a transformation. It takes something that can just be bog standard, can just be normal, overlooked, and turns it into something noteworthy, something that you don't want to overlook, something that when you notice it, you're like, that's so thoughtful. That is elegant. That is lovely, right? Okay, number 3 is curtains. Curtains! Curtains! So there's 2 things I need to say with curtains. Number 1, investing in some thick, full length, wide curtains. This one maybe isn't the cheapest one because I'm surprised at how much curtains cost, but they are really high impact. Like a room without curtains, or that just has kind of boring curtains, to one that has incredibly luxe curtains, the impact is so much. You have such an opportunity to insert a lot of color or pattern or texture to a room in a way that you won't be doing anywhere else, right? Especially because it goes all the way up to the ceiling. So everything else that you're gonna have that's sort of like that is gonna be low to the ground, like couches and chairs and beds and blankets. But having this color that gets to like elevate the entire room, it's such an opportunity. But the second thing about curtains is knowing how to hang them. And this was one of the first tricks I learned when I was looking into curtains, and I was like, okay, like what is the best way to do a curtain? And I watched these videos and I looked at these charts, and the difference it makes is outstanding. A lot of people are attaching their curtain rods directly above the window and still within the window trim. And what that does, because the curtains are naturally going to spill over the window and cover it up a little bit, it actually makes your windows look smaller than they are. You can make windows, any window, even if it's a small window, feel so much bigger, so much more elegant, so much more special by really raising up the curtain rod and moving it way farther than you think to the sides. It makes a world of difference. It looks so elegant, and it really just elevates your windows. It makes them a focal point. It makes them feel like, yeah, this is, again, really thoughtfully done. Damn, I got really excited about curtains. Okay, number 4 is to change the main lighting fixture in your room. Again, this just can instantly modernize the space, because a lot of the time you move into a house, whether you bought it or if you're renting it, you move into this house and it has dated fixtures because people don't care. They installed a light when the house was built and then they didn't switch it. And now it's been 30 years and that light is not doing the work that it could be doing. And if you think about beautiful chandeliers and light fixtures and pendant lights, and it's a whole world. It's a whole rabbit hole. But there's also incredible budget options. So my dining room, I installed this light from IKEA. It was literally $30. And the upgrade that it does to make the room feel modern and special, lighting is so powerful in a room. And so if you bring in a light that's actually helping make your room feel unique and special, it's such a move. It's such a move, and it doesn't have to be an expensive move. I also was extremely terrified of changing the light myself because I was like, electrical, you've got to take this seriously. It was so much easier than I feared, which is very common with these household projects. Before you do them for the first time, you think it's going to be really stressful and scary and hard, and then you do it and you're like, that wasn't that bad. That was not that bad if you do it in a safe and easy way. But also, I assure you that you have somebody in your family, some friend that knows how to change out a light. So make them some cookies, trade the cookies for them to help you install your light fixture. Do it safely. If you don't feel qualified to do it, you can always get like an electrician or something to come in and help you out. At that point, now it's getting expensive, but it's still an option. My 5th tip is to get fancy cups. And here's why I say this. It's a 2-parter. Part 1, your life feels better, more luxurious when you're drinking out of fancy cups. And here's the thing. Fancy cups do not need to be expensive cups. I actually think I would hate drinking out of expensive cups because then you're constantly stressed that you're going to smash it or it's going to break or whatever. Some tragedy will ensue. But no, if you go to a thrift store, you can find some cool, interesting cups. Or if you go to Etsy or if you Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace always has beautiful kitchenware, dishware, cups, glasses, right? So I have had so much luck, and too much luck. I have too many cups now, too many glasses. I need to get rid of some, but you can find so many gorgeous glasses, and they don't need to be that expensive, but they just elevate your own experience of drinking, and it's that philosophy of inserting fanciness into your life when it's not that fancy. Like I had this epiphany a while ago that I was hoarding notebooks and hoarding candles because I was waiting for the right moment to use them. That's never going to come. I'm never going to have like the perfect novel idea that I write in my notebook. My microphone died, so there's been a slight change here. But my point remains, you're never going to have the perfect company over, the really fancy company over that merits and justifies burning the expensive candle. Your everyday is worthy of doing those special things. Your everyday is worthy of bringing out the nice candle, using the nice cups, right? So not only does it elevate your everyday experience, it makes your breakfast feel fancier, it makes your lunch feel fancier, drinking orange juice suddenly is a little bit of an event, but it also acts as a decor piece in your kitchen. Like having your cups on display or just when you open your cabinet or if you have open shelving especially, having those lovely items kind of visible, they become a part of the kitchen's mood, the part of the decor, and they can act as art objects, right? There are people who design these beautiful things to be beautiful, and we can just buy them, snatch them up. And they're practical, they're useful, you actually need glasses, but now they're also doing that double function of like being beautiful. So my final tip, number 6, is to get all matching pillowcases. This is silly, but it's something that I've been doing over the last year, and it just makes my bedroom feel so much fancier if all of your pillowcases match. So when I studied abroad in the UK, it was ages ago, but when I did that, I learned about duvets. Europe likes duvets. They're all about the duvet life, and I loved it. Here in North America, I'm obviously generalizing, but in North America, we have an entire sheet system. You got the fitted sheet, then you've got a flat sheet on top of that, and then you have the comforter on top of that. So they've basically just been like, what the hell's the point of the flat sheet? Which I completely understand and agree with. So now that I'm doing the duvet life, whenever I buy like sheets, like bedding sets, I always have this flat sheet that I don't use. So what I've been doing is cutting it up and making 4 extra pillowcases out of it so that I have 6 matching pillowcases. And then my bed looks so much prettier. It all looks so much more put together and intentional when the whole bed set matches. And it's such a simple thing to do. Making pillowcases is so easy. You just sew. Straight lines. It's so easy. But also, pillowcases are cheap. So if you don't want to make your own ones, it's just worth the investment to just buy a few extra pillowcases and then not have random pillowcases that don't match together. And there we have it. Those are my 6 tips for how to pretty easily, pretty cheaply upgrade your home. My friend Paige made a really similar video to this. She is the queen of style. She is an interior prop designer. She's incredible. So I'm going to link that down below. Definitely check that out. Let me again thank Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. And thank you all for watching. I know this is a bit of an experiment for me, because I usually am doing my renovation videos, but I do not have the stamina to renovate an entire room every single time that I make a video. So sprinkling some of these sit-down videos is going to be key to our success, and I thank you for watching it, and to all of my patrons who support all of my videos. So thanks everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know down in this. I would love to know down in the comments, what is your one little hack that you think people should be doing to really upgrade their spaces? And I will talk to you guys in my next video.